I'll just pop it in the actually I'll pop it in the
I like this music. It has a little bit of like a Zydeco feel to it. I love Zydeco. We need some Zydeco music for Cryptid Creeks. Down on the bayou.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is really giving Zydeco vibes, with almost like like a weird accordion kind of thing too. I love it.
I always post on Hope's channel. Just never really. It's so oversaturated with people, content creators. It's difficult to get any traction on there.
Well, Hope has cultivated a lovely community, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
completely. There's a lot of people on. There's a lot of people on there though.
Is it okay that I'm drinking a beer tonight?
Yeah.
It's my Friday. I have tomorrow off.
Have you seen this awesome mug I got from the theatre, theatre production?
No, I have not.
So
I
cute.
love it.
Look at that.
I love that the umbrella looks like his nose.
Yeah, exactly. It's so clever, isn't it?
Oh.
That's the best thing I've ever seen live in my life, by far.
Ooh.
The only thing that comes close was the Lord of the Rings at cinema, the first one.
That sounds cool. I guess, yeah, that counts as live.
Yeah.
Probably, kind of. Well, no, it's pre-recorded, but you saw it in a theater.
I kind of meant, yeah, like a non-home experience, maybe. But yeah, Toto's without a doubt the best live thing I've ever seen. I've seen, I've been to see, I saw A Curious Incident of a Dog in the Nighttime. That was really good at the West End.
What was that about? A dog in the nighttime?
I've not heard of that book.
I have not.
It's about a child with autism who becomes a detective. He tries to investigate the neighbour's dogs that's been killed. It's really well done.
Oh, I think I would enjoy that.
Yeah. Mark Haddon's the writer.
Time for a Tattered Bear book club.
Yeah.
Oh, we totally could though. We could and should. And with that, get ready for the transition. 3, 2, 1. Hey! Hello, Scribblers! Hey. Welcome to Thursday Chill Creation time. Look at this. Chill Creation used to be on a Tuesday, once in a blue moon, after a while for the past, almost year. And now we've got creative streams twice a week. That's amazing.
Howdy.
Hello, almost bedtime. How are you, friend? Welcome. Howdy. Makes me want to get a Stetson. That's okay. So Stetson hats, a cowboy hat, has been on my unnecessary luxury item list that I just inexplicably really want. Kind of like my green felt hat that I've worn for a few days.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
I love it. I do.
Yeah. I just don't do hats. I don't do hair or hats.
I bet you would look great in some hats.
No, I wouldn't.
No?
I wouldn't.
Have you?
No, I think I just about pull off glasses. But
yeah.
I think
you look good with
glasses.
Quite nice,
yeah. But hats, no. I've got a very thin head. I've talked to you about this before.
I don't think we have.
I've got a pencil head.
I don't. No, you have not told me about your pencil head. I strongly believe that there is a hat or some sort of headwear for everyone out there. I do.
I need a fashion consultancy.
I don't know much about fashion, but I'll help you find a cool hat.
That's fair.
What about your dragon hat? Kind of like this one. Don't you have a hatchling's hat?
I should get one.
You should get one. I thought. Oh no, that was like a onesie or I can't remember, a hoodie.
It's like a costume. It's a kid. This is typical of me though. Is I fit kids' hats, kids' caps, kids' hats. But I don't. Adult size hats don't fit me.
So I feel your
Despite
pain.
being 6'2".
I feel your pain because I too have a child size head. Normal adult size hats are almost too big for me. So I'm wearing my polar bear hat tonight. Check it out, y'all. It's got ears and everything. Heck yeah, Clunch. We've got a cool hat, so it has to be a cozy, cozy stream. Because it's freaking cold. There was ice on the car this morning. Ice. It was not good. I almost slipped down the stairs walking to the car this morning.
No.
I'm okay. The foot is healing.
You didn't slip.
I did not slip. Even with a busted up foot, like post-surgery recovery, my dexterity seems to be high enough, knock on wood, because I'm going to give myself some bad juju. Seems to be okay for the time. But yes, welcome everyone to another Cozy Creation stream. A little bit more of a hype creation stream tonight, because we are back with episode 2 of the From Inspiration to Production Cryptid Creeks Indie TTRPG journey. So in case you missed last week, I do have the video downloaded, so I'm hoping to upload it to our YouTube this weekend. Coming at you.
Nice.
But we are taking a brand new adventure, indie TTRPG, Cryptid Creek, and presenting the exclusive behind-the-scenes look at what the creative process is, or at least what a creative process is, our creative process, as we are bringing this game to life. And we wanted to actually live stream this on Twitch to share with all of you, so you could get a sneak peek into what goes into creating a game from scratch. This
is interesting for me as well, because this is the first time I've had a code designer.
Same.
On a project.
But honestly, I couldn't have picked a better partner, a better co-designer. I am so thrilled to be.
I feel
I'm
the
so
same.
thrilled to be designing a game with you, because we've worked on games together and we've done things together, but not from like a design standpoint.
Not really, but I feel like we've done everything together. Literally.
Every project.
I feel like, yeah, pretty much. I mean, you're the main character in my core game,
which is hilarious. I'm constantly just tickled pink. I remember when you were first starting to develop Inspirals, and you asked me, "Hey, can I use Scriv as a character in the book? Can this be a thing, and we'll do like crossovers?" And I was like, wild. "Yeah, sure, why not? Cool, go for it."
Yeah.
No, it's
I'm really
wonderful.
proud of that. I really love your representation in it as well. I really love your character design and everything. It's wonderful.
I do too. Honestly, I'm in love with it. They got my nose. She even got
everything right.
like the shape of my nose right. It was amazing, and I need to like grow my hair back out again, so I can do the good undercut and braid again. That's the goal.
The only person who can do a true Scriv cosplay is you.
Did I ever show you a picture? Did I ever tweet out a picture of my very first like Furbolg Scriv cosplay? It was my very first MCM London.
So. No, I don't think you ever did.
And I cosplayed as my Furbolg self, because the original character design for Scriv was a Furbolg bard with a big blue floppy hat and a like colorful poncho scarf kind of thing, and the floppy ears. So I'll find that and tweet that out for a Throwback Thursday if I can dig up the old picture. I did like the blue paint and everything.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. it was fun. I don't know if I would do that same one the same way again, but it was a good time. Two creative masterminds making a beautiful blend of tea. That is so nice.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
I actually don't have tea tonight because today is my Friday. I have the day off from work tomorrow, miraculously.
We were talking about this before we went live as well. This is a mug from the Royal Shakespeare production of My Neighbor Totoro in the West End. It's so good.
I don't have a cute Totoro on my glass, but I have some very nice, refreshing Belgian.
But Jim Henson did all the puppets, all the huge Totoro and all the little ones. Yeah, Jim Henson.
No wonder it was a success.
Incredible production.
Oh, I really want to see it. Are they still doing it? Like, is it still on stage?
Yeah, still on till rest of I think February.
I want.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'd be able to get back in time for that.
It was honestly incredible. It was honestly incredible. It's the best thing I've ever seen.
I feel like I would cry as soon as like that first song plays. I'm sure I would tear up and get emotional, because Studio Ghibli, My Neighbor Totoro, and other works, of course, have been so very formative and so inspiring. That is like the ultimate comfort food kind of viewing for me. I love it so much. But anyway, why is it anytime I talk about something like emotional or like focused, the music shifts? What the heck is this? Creepy. Just a matter of time before a Ghibli tattoo will be... Yes. Oh, it is just a matter of time. And honestly... Okay, so here's the thing. I have my next 3 tattoo adventures projects already planned out. One's gonna be like finishing the sleeve, my storytelling sleeve here, which that'll be a thing hopefully that will come to completion this year. And then I want to have like a very small little one on my hand if I can get away with it. Which pays homage to my hometown of my home state of Florida and the beaches I grew up on and along the Gulf Coast. And the other one is going to be, I haven't quite decided the inspiration for it yet. It's either going to be video game inspired or Ghibli inspired, but it's going to be like a warrior, a warrior kind of leg sleeve, I suppose. Nice. I want to go with like the asymmetrical balancing, but we'll see. We'll see. My partner has the first session for their next tattoo tomorrow. It's going to be like at least a 3-session thing, I think.
Some good stuff going on.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of creativity and speaking of tattoo inspiration fodder, let's talk about cryptids. So
last week, what did we explore last? Last week we talked about things you need initially. So like, I talked about how I tend to get a cover done initially.
Yeah.
Just to visualize.
And look at it.
For a visual aid, but also for inspiration. Like I constantly look at it.
It is beauteous.
And actually, Josh is, just to let you know, Josh is expanding this into a whole cover design. So he's gonna, so the creek's gonna go right up to an A5 sort of cover. It's gonna have like a woods in the background, and the title's gonna be at the top.
Amazing. Hello, Bradshaw. How's it going, friend?
Hi.
It's gorgeous. Gorgeous.
So that's kind of what I need initially in the creative process, and I always do that. I always get the cover. For Inspirals, was the first thing I did was got Josh to do the knot art for the cover, and that a lot came from that kind of inspiration as well, in terms of the Celtic design and the Arthurian thematics and stuff.
Evocative is a fantastic word, Clunch. Clunch says your covers are always evocative. Love this one so far.
Yeah, I hope so. Like, yeah, emotion's quite important. Especially this game, because it's actually quite personal to me, because it reflects, even though it's meant to be set in the US, maybe, just to have the most reach, in terms of like the environment, like on a riverside. I grew up on a river. We used to sort of like build a folk boat on a boatyard, and it was an incredible time of life, like just playing with my brother in the woods and like building like dens and things. And yeah, it was awesome.
That's amazing. And I love that it has that connection. And I enjoyed hearing you talk about that during our first like off stream planning session, inspiration session for this. Yeah. And it made me think back to the creek that was near my house.
Yes, exactly.
Growing up as well. So I've always been, in some shape or form, I've always been fairly close to water, I'm realizing. And I was thinking about it more as we were preparing for the stream, and I was reading stuff throughout the week, trying to like really get my mind, my immersion up. So of course I grew up in Florida, and you're close to the beach, but near my grandparents' house, which I grew up in, really. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. We had a big lake full of like snapping turtles and different kinds of bugs and ducks, and I have this memory of us saving a snapping turtle during one particularly hot summer, and it was kind of just chilling by the roadside. And I was like, no, we have to save him. I was so little at the time. I was like, no, his name is Spike. He's my friend and we have to save him. So we got like a big wheelbarrow, filled it with water, put the turtle in there. I'm sitting there trying to feed him tuna. Or them. Feed this Spike, the turtle, tuna. Probably like a huge tortoise. Way too big to be a turtle. until we could get them back to the lake. And then later on, when we moved out of state, we moved to North Carolina, actually, there was a legitimate creek in the woods near the house, and my sisters and I would go on nature walks. So we'd go and collect like acorns and twigs and pretty leaves and rocks and all those wonderful goblin child kind of things. We'd pick up tree branches that had fallen and use them as like wizard staffs and walking sticks and wands and swords.
That's exactly what we were doing.
It was so much fun. I have so many good memories of doing things like that. Oh, nice. Nice, Bradshaw. Conspiracy theory, Scriv is totally a water elemental in disguise. Well, we've already kind of determined on Twitter that my cryptid Sona is probably some sort of crocodile. Which is going to be one of my next tattoos, actually. Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Big old croc jaw. Funny, though. Per Zodiac, I'm a fire-aligned person. But I do seem to be connected to water in a lot of ways. Okay, so yes, last time, let's do a quick recap, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do today. So I've got the document up. Let me just, for now, shift that beautiful cover to the side. There we go. So we began with writing out the core of the game. So we discussed premise, we discussed themes, we discussed the system itself, along with our 3 core design goals: all ages accessible, interactive, fostering teamwork, and all of the other things that we discussed fit nicely into those 3 different core goals. And then we also discussed product scope. What is Cryptid Creeks going to look like? It's very important, y'all, when you're starting a new project, to give yourself a scope. To avoid, like, have your design goals, have your desired themes, and have your scope, so that you can keep yourself within a manageable level. So you don't have too much of scope creep, you don't have too much of that expansion, and then at some point get to the stage where you've gone too deep and it's hard to bring it all back together. Your game will feel so much more coherent and smooth and designed and intuitive for new players to just pick up and play, bringing that book, bringing that PDF, whatever end result you're desiring. It feels so much more intuitive when you're able to stick to some nice thematically cohesive design goals. Creek scope, lol.
And that also kind of like bleeds into funding as well.
It does.
And I tend to think about the scope of the actual project alongside or paralleling the Kickstarter or the whatever crowdfunding platform you're going to use.
Yeah.
And thinking about printing costs, thinking about the format of the book, like is it, like things like what size of the book, what format's it in.
Yeah. And
those hardcover, softcover, is it just digital? There's so many considerations.
There's a lot to take into account, and those are things that in general us creatives don't typically think about in these early stages. But trust me, once you've gone through your first like Kickstarter or production of any sort, you're going to learn these things as we did. Please let us help you with sharing this knowledge and that kind of experience, because you've got to some degree, at least consider those things ahead of time, because unfortunately, right? Inflation, resource shortages, supply chain chaos, things are becoming, unfortunately, a bit more expensive over time. So you've got to consider these things. There's no shame at all in starting with a PDF and then moving to physical format later on.
100%. I mean, that's what we're doing.
That's probably the way to go these days.
Dragon DAO's started as just a very small thing on itch funding, but I want to bring it to Kickstarter just because I want a print run.
Yep.
And I want to manufacture some dice. So that's the reasons. There's multiple reasons for going to crowdfunding. I think if you can take the kind of stress of that month and a couple of months afterwards, then it's probably worth it.
Yeah.
I think.
And the more you can like create and design and prepare before the Kickstarter, the easier it'll be. I'm not going to say it's completely easy, but much less stressful. So with Bard RPG, I had the system done and we were already playtesting it on stream before the Kickstarter. You know, that's because I had my scope and it was a fairly, it's not a huge game by any means. Yeah. I think you could fit all of the core mechanics, not just the core mechanics, but like the reflection phase and leveling and all of that with the archetypes into like between 20 and 30 pages, and that's it. With artwork. Yeah. So it could be less. I hear you, Fable. Fable says, my first TTRPG scope completely got away from me, 3 times bigger than expected. Was a big whoopsie. Sure. But you know what? Those are lessons learned, right? Yeah, everything like that, every miscalculation, every stumble that we all go through, all of us. Even though I had the fantastic mentor who's here with me on stream tonight, I still miscalculated. So there's still some things that end up going a little bit over budget. But when that happens, remember to take a step back, to breathe, and go back to prioritizing what needs to be done. Be open and honest with your backers as well if you run into serious issues. And please, 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 if you have to cut things, don't let it be the reimbursement for your creative team.
No.
Don't do that. Pay your team. Pay your team first.
And don't let accessibility concerns slip either.
There are some ways you can cut corners,
Those are the last things that should go.
Yeah. Pay your team, get your editing, get your sensitivity reading, because we're going to talk about that tonight as well, and I'm super excited.
Exactly. Yeah.
And get that accessibility bit. But excited to have Bard RPG in my hands one day, says Kludge. I am too.
Yeah, not that long.
It's going according to plan. Hopefully the PDF will be out there first to the backers, but then for purchase online, we'll have the storefront page ready to go soon. Hopefully that'll be ready to go by the end of February, if not sooner. Anyway, with all the artwork and everything, it's going to be beautiful. Okay, so back to Cryptid Creeks. Tonight, we're going to talk about stats, moves, and playbooks, because this game is powered by the apocalypse. But this is the kind of stuff I really, really enjoy digging into.
Yeah, I do. I enjoy it as well.
It is that nitty-gritty game design stuff. Like this is why we loved doing NPCs and monster stat blocks and classes in D&D for like our original Iosterra campaign. Like when we were digging into the Hedge Witch class and making your druid class for Bomb, giving different tweaks. It's so much fun. So much fun.
It is really good fun. Yeah, it is really good fun. It's so much better when you've got an established system as well. I mean, Inspirals was a completely original system, which was nightmarish. Yeah, but nightmarish.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but nightmarish.
Said nightmarish 3 times now.
but I don't think I'll ever do an original one again. Because that Bard RPG's been in sort of like gestation for a long time, for a decade, isn't it? So you already kind of you just probably added stuff to it, but like it was already ahead. Whereas Inspirals,
it's been marinating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whereas Inspirals was flash fried,
Hey.
without the extractor fan on.
I love a good stir fry though. Honestly, it's like my go-to during the week. Fable says, "Okay, but hey, stop talking about butts."
I want to. Oh, thank you. That's really kind.
Agreed.
I think we'll. It's nice to use systems.
It gives you a little bit more space to breathe because you're not questioning your game design mechanics so much when it comes to like the system. It gives you a playground that you can explore and do crazy stuff with. You know, you see a jungle gym, you see slides, and you can do backflips off them if you want to. It's fine as long as they're there. Yep. Have a wonderful evening, Bradshaw. Go on and get your stuff done before calling it a night. Thank you so much for coming in to say hi. We'll see you next time.
Soon.
Bye. Cheers, friend.
So what I I've put another document together.
You have. Do you want me to pull it up
all
on
week
the
I've
screen?
all week I've explored the mechanics. And I've tried to take all of our notes that we had so far and put it into some sort of partly because I've got so much enthusiasm and hype for it right now, so it's best to jump on that while you can. And also it's just very easy to transfer those notes over to the Kickstarter, which I've actually set up already as well. What you do is you create your premise, you do all these things and your mechanics, and you just transfer them straight over to the Kickstarter page. So potentially after the session tonight, we might be able to start on some of the artwork. So Lucille Noir will do some of the. If we get the playbooks nailed down tonight, we'll be able to do that. So that's ideal. Yeah.
I am.
We're going to be talking about.
I'm just getting the screen ready.
Yeah, no problem. We're going to talk about Powered by the Apocalypse moves, playbooks, and stats, which is typically what they use. So moves govern everything that your characters can perform. And your stats obviously give you a bonus to those move tests. And your playbooks are kind of like classes, really, essentially.
Yeah.
But they're almost like all-encompassing. So you've got everything on that one kind of.
Or I thought the playbooks were more like classes.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Oh,
playbooks.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you said moves. I was confused.
No, and then the playbooks we're going to have in the game. They're going to resemble like trading cards. We decided, like 90s trading cards. So that's going to be really cool.
Yes. Fulfilling that trading card craving. Okay.
Yeah, but Wonder Home uses playbooks, absolutely. Yeah, they'll actually be quite similar to Wonder Home in some ways. They'll ask questions of you, and they'll have some stats on there and things like that. And yeah.
I need to move our little picture around a little bit.
You can almost remove it if you wanted to.
I still want to keep it up in the corner at least.
Okay.
I just don't want it to cover up any of the text here. There we go. Boom. All right, so talk us through what you have written here.
Okay, so this is what when I'm designing a game, I like to have essentially like a preview of the whole game, basically from the start to the finish, including where things, because you need to know what the order of things will be in. So I've just done a load of research on Powered by the Apocalypse. I've read Monster of the Week. I read like 30 Sword Lesbians. I looked into Brindlewood Bay, like Quick Start, and I gathered a lot of information from that. I've also watched a load of actual plays and how they're played, how moves work, how they tie to stats, how the dice mechanics. Because I didn't have a huge amount of experience with it before tackling this, but I thought a sort of like a group of teens, or like would be perfect for playbooks.
Yeah.
Like it's based on the Goonies, that's one of the inspirations. They feel like living playbooks. If you watch the Goonies, they're all very individual. They've all got different styles. They've all got different skills.
Very archetypal, very clearly
very archetypal,
defined and written characterizations. Yeah.
Yeah.
So shall we read through here?
Yeah, so let's go through it. Yeah, so obviously you start with the cover, and then you got the credits and the license. So that'll be Powered by the Apocalypse mentioned there as well.
Yep, I can go ahead and put that in there actually.
Yeah, put license, Hatchlings and Powered by the Apocalypse.
Powered by the Apocalypse. I'll just abbreviate it for now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yup.
Yeah.
Save.
And then we thought we could have a lovely little narrative story about a rumor or like a cryptid kind of lore. That would be lovely to start with a nice image.
I'll write it.
Because Josh's first piece of art is going to be like a big cat. Because in the UK we have this thing called the Beast of Bodmin, which is like a giant. It's meant to be a panther. It's kind of on the loose. And I thought we could have that on the sort of the night time. Looking with its like bright eyes over some like JCBs in a construction yard down below, sort of kind of like judging them. and that could be the opening.
Oh, that's
piece.
a really
So
good
that's
scene setter.
like a full page piece.
Yeah.
So that would be next to the story about this wild cat or this huge cat. It's kind of.
I wanna get some ideas down for that little story.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping you'll write it. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want to, just.
Yeah.
Volunteer. If you had someone else in mind, that's fine. That's fine. But
no.
I'll write about a giant spooky cat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Score.
So then we have what is Cryptid Creeks? Like, just what it's about. So can you read the instructions? I can't actually see it on my phone.
Yeah, no problem. You're on your phone. You're on your phone.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Okay, so what is Cryptid Creeks, you ask? I'm glad you asked. Well, here's a little bit of an introduction for you. Cryptid Creeks is a tabletop role-playing game using Powered by the Apocalypse, a system that brings collaborative storytelling to the forefront. Period. In this coming-of-age mystery, you will play the Eries, a group of teens tasked with finding a mythological creature to save their homes from demolition. Creeks has many inspirations, including The Goonies, Spirited Away, and other Powered by the Apocalypse games such as Monster of the Week and Brindlewood Bay, but it is also a deeply personal project for its creators. Whatever your background or age, we hope themes such as friendship, discovery, rebellion, and hope are shared by gaming groups everywhere.
Yeah, so I think it's quite a nice little introduction.
That sounds
Doesn't
very
need
nice.
to be much longer either.
No, short and sweet. You don't want to take up too much time. You're not doing like an entire forward for this game. Yeah.
And then we've got the overview.
The overview. Should I read this one as well?
Yeah, go on. There's not much writing so far. But...
Overview. Homes at risk. Every story needs conflict and a follower. Hello, Cinderin. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Welcome, friend. Yes, every story needs conflict, and ours begins with the arrival of a hotel developer. With a construction team looking to bulldoze your homes. While your parents consider moving, your friends refuse to give up and let the Eries drift apart. Local stories tell of a guardian that will come to the Creek's aid when under threat. Over the years, there have been many sightings of this elusive cryptic, but never any concrete proof. With your homes and friendships in jeopardy, you set out to uncover a legend. I like that. You set out to uncover a legend. That needs to be a tagline somewhere in the promo video. So then you have investigating and sabotaging. This game is equally divided between finding the cryptid and slowing the construction company. And I think these, investigating and sabotaging, could be a pointer towards what some of the stats will be.
Exactly. This is what we need to discuss. Also the moves, actually, fundamentally.
Yes.
Because the moves all have to either to do with the sabotage and the investigation.
Yep.
Yes. Including the basic moves and the special moves. So that's kind of what we're talking about tonight.
I like it. Okay.
So the next bit is
safety and respect.
That's the next section. So what we'll have lines and veils, the X card. I don't know if you want to talk about these.
So
I don't know if everyone in the chat knows about them.
Well, if not, we can probably discuss it a little bit, but I think that's something that we can probably devote an entire stream to as well.
Let's do that.
Because I don't want to talk about the safety tools and then just breeze right past them. I think that'll be a stream all on its own. So for those of you for those of you who are maybe not familiar with the function of safety tools, lines and veils, X card, to the city, all of these different things are measures put in place that are baked into the game that allow you to have more free-flowing communication and check-ins with your players in cases of where you have troubling themes coming up. If people have different themes, different topics that they don't enjoy, something that is a little bit more harmful to them, that people are uncomfortable with or not ready to talk about, you can categorize these with your lines and fails, and you can use like an X card, which could be something as simple as just raising your arms and making an X, or having some sort of gesture type of signal, or actually having a physical card or a token of some sort to non-verbally identify that, hey, I'm not really feeling comfortable with this one. Can we take a step back? Can we talk about it? Can we shift away? Go ahead, Rich. Did I miss anything?
So the only one I want to talk about is To the City. So in Inspirals, we have, with most games, you have a sort of open door policy. In other words, if you want to leave the session for any reason, or even the whole group, then people can leave without any question or any judgment. So To the City, in Inspirals, basically we had the players, the Pendragons, go to Aethelyn's bathhouse. So if anyone leaves the session early or they leave it completely, that's what they would be doing. They'd be going to the bathhouse to recuperate and to, like, you know, that would be the kind of thematic reason for that. So To the City is one of the players their parents have actually sold up the house, and they've left the Eries for the city. So that's the kind of so they would naturally leave the session or the group. So it doesn't, just because you've got safe tools doesn't mean you can't tie it thematically to the actual game mechanics.
Of course, and I would recommend doing so as well. So something that Fable just said, and I absolutely agree, safety tools are so important. Yes, they are. Fable says, I'm actually really glad that more and more creators are hard baking them into their games. Yes. Yeah. So when it comes to having it flow seamlessly with the themes of a game, it actually makes it a lot more comfortable as well, in my opinion, and this is just Scriv's opinion, for both the person who is identifying the issue and the other players, because you don't feel like you're disrupting. You don't feel like, unless you really want to, but you know, every game dynamic is going to be a little bit different. Set it all on fire, table flip. Hopefully it never gets to that point, and I truly hope it doesn't. I wish all of you very healthy and wholesome gaming groups. Yeah, but it sometimes, I know for me, if I'm feeling uncomfortable, back before I learned how to advocate for myself and set those healthy boundaries, therapy is wonderful, I would have just kind of suffered in silence out of fear of disrupting the fun of others, out of fear of drawing too much attention to something and having people shoot me down, right? That's always a fear, even if you have the most wonderful group of friends who are going to be supportive, as I hope you do. Sometimes it can be hard to still kind of quell that instinctive, defensive kind of thing. So having something that is baked into the game smoothly helps to eliminate some of those hurdles that people face if they are trying to advocate for themselves or others. So I think having something like To the City or going to the bathhouse is wonderful.
It's nice. It's nice. So we've got how to play. So you start the game by crafting the creek, and Scriv and I talked about this, and this is going to be the first instance of like interactive kind of production. So
it's one of the things I'm most excited about. I'm excited about everything, but I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, so we've got Fernando Salvatara on the project, and he did all the nests illustrations for overalls. They're absolutely wonderful. He's an incredible map maker designer. So he's going to do a template of a creek. So it's going to have like the usual sort of like landscape of a creek with the river next to it. And then what we're going to have is we're going to have reusable stickers for landmarks. So every time you create a creek, it can be different. So you can have like a church, you can have like a amusement arcade. You can have all sorts of things. You can stick them onto this template, and you're away. So every time you create a creek, it'll be different. So that's the idea behind that.
Love it, and it's very cool having that collaborative group investment in the creation of the environment.
Yes.
Because you see that with kids as well, like any player, any age, but especially when I've worked with kids in the past, and some of you I know will have seen this in your own experiences, but when a player, especially a young player, has the chance to really create the world they're exploring, then they're going to be excited to go out there in the game and interact with the things that they've created. And it's a beautiful thing to see.
For sure. For sure, yeah. Next up is the moves.
And
they're going to be... Well, that's wrong. I changed that since. So the playbooks are trading cards, not the moves.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'll edit that. Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. So the moves are basically like we talked about. They are they govern all your actions. Basically, they're like almost like I don't know how to explain it. It's like in D&D you have like obviously skill checks, so it's like that, but they're more universal. So they're called basic moves or special moves, and it just every time you roll the dice, it comes under one of those categories.
Yeah. Moves that every playbook, everyone has access to.
Everyone has access to them, yeah. And then we've got bonds and burdens. So my preliminary idea is that if you roll 2 6s on the dice, which is like a strong critical hit, then you unlock a bond, basically. And the same with the opposite. If you roll 2 1s, then you unlock a burden, which will affect your character and your rolls.
I'm just typing that in there because I think.
Yeah, so that's kind of my initial idea for quite an original mechanic with the 2d6 dice system, but we can think about that.
I like the
as
idea.
we go through.
Yeah.
Because I do like crits and crit fails. I like that mechanic. I like that kind of like.
Makes things more exciting. A little bit more dynamic. Swings and roundabouts. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Then we've got leveling up, so there's advancement in the game. And then we've got downtime, which I think is going to be quite. I think it's going to be quite a big part of the game. So I want it to be, especially in terms of bonds and stuff, like so your downtime, because you're obviously not going to be doing this all the time. You're not going to be trying to find Cryptid all the time. You're not going to try and shop this construction company. Sometimes you have to go home. Sometimes you've got the weekend. Sometimes you have other things. So this part of it's going to be another section of the game, which is going to be quite important. So on your playbook, you'll put down what your interests are, and that's going to be vital in terms of, and you'll put down what your family dynamics. So in Brindlewood Bay, you play like elderly women who are into murder mysteries, basically, like Miss Marple and things like that, and Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
And you kind of your playbook at the beginning, you have to describe what your deceased partner was like, what they were called and stuff. They've all got a deceased partner. Any children you've got that are older and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. I kind of think that should be in this game as well. It should be like like what your family dynamic is and who's part of your family.
I think
really
it's worth
nice.
having integrated in there because you're right. It does help with the downtime, with the bonds as well, but also helping players think about the things that motivate them.
Yeah.
Think about their core, the intrinsic things that are important to them. So that's very, very good.
So that's that. And then we've got moves. Now we have to moves.
Playbooks. So here are your initial thoughts for the basic moves.
So I want to talk about a little bit about iterations of design. So when I started, I was going to have all the playbooks be named after each of the Goonies characters. Right. But then I thought...
Copyright.
A, copyright. B, we could possibly use their names, but we won't be able to use we won't be able to cite their actual dialogue from the film and stuff.
No.
And B, also, some people wouldn't have seen it, wouldn't be aware of it.
It's like that inside joke that not enough people will be familiar with.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, the Goonies is okay to be inspired by, but it is a little bit problematic if you watch it again. It's got some very, very...
Yes.
Which a lot of films in the 80s did obviously have.
They did. But it's important to acknowledge that. While the spirit of the Goonies can be very inspiring, there are some issues with it. and we want to take that positive aspect of the Goonies and have that inspire and fuel something better.
Yeah.
And I'll say it. It'll be better. This is gonna be better than the Goonies. Fight me.
Well, actually, the people's individual stories potentially will be more exciting and better.
Yeah.
So then we talked about a scout troop, a scouting troop, and I considered that for a while. I did playbooks for them, so they had had the different animal aspects, so wolves, bears, panthers, cobras, from the Jungle Books. The characters from the Jungle Book generally tied to scouting troops, but I felt it was too wholesome.
Too wholesome?
Too wholesome for the group of teens. Yeah, interestingly.
So we need to talk about the age as well. What is the average age of this group of teens? Are they about to graduate from high school? I figured they were going to be younger.
No, they'll graduate for high school age. Yeah.
Really? Oh, so they are a bit older then.
Probably 14, 15.
That's not graduating from high school.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
17, 18 is graduating from
17,
high school.
Yeah. So 14, 15.
It's been a long time since we've been back in school.
Yeah, well, it was way long for me, yeah.
So yeah, 13, 14, like early teens, I think is pretty good. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was too wholesome. I also thought the Jungle Book thing would drive us into a lot of a cultural consultancy again.
Well, the current option drives us into cultural consultancy.
It does. Maybe a little less so. So, I then I thought, how cool it would be, because you mentioned last week about some sort of supernatural element to the playbooks. I thought it was quite interesting. So I thought, why not have them as actual cryptids, be interested in cryptozoology and things. And that's part of their club. That's why the Eries are called the Eries. So they're all the playbooks are named after infamous cryptids in the US.
So if we're looking at North American inspiration, if we're looking, and also just like a side note, I don't know how many other Americans are in there, or in the chat out there, but the Eries makes me think of Lake Erie. So you could even have it set somewhere near the Great Lakes if you wanted to. But, working names, we're going to figure it out and see what kind of setting might be more appropriate or not. I like the idea of this being in the South somewhere. But that's just because that's what I know. But we can create a fictional North American inspired setting. We don't have to choose somewhere that actually
absolutely
exists.
And people have been making their own ones up anyway, so
what up, Hops? Howdy from America. I'm sorry. Hops would have some great ideas for some of these things, I think. Ooh, already planning a desert version for the Southwest. Yes!
Nice, that'd be awesome.
We do have some Americans in there. Yay! It's usually for the people who actually tune in, 50-50 Americans and Brits.
Yeah, it is.
It's usually what it is.
Actually. It's nice.
Midwest. There you go. And I've got some other friends from Europe who dial in as well, and it's wonderful. So the thing, do you want to keep talking about your inspiration here before I weigh in?
No. Let's go for it. So these are the ones I came up with. So it's going to be 8.
Yep. I think 8's a good number.
Which is plenty.
I wouldn't go more than that.
So we need to go back to the moves first, though, because that's the first step in this process. So we go up a little bit. I've skipped ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I actually do want to say something about playbooks here. So as you will all notice, these playbooks right now are titled or named, themed after different types of mythological or creatures from folklore. Local legends, urban legends, kinds of things. Some of these, many of them actually, do have some very significant, very specific cultural contexts with real cultures. So we are going to be very careful with doing first the adequate research ourselves into these different beings to ensure that we are representing them appropriately, but in a way that does not reinforce potentially negative stereotypes. So we're looking at a lot of, unfortunately, in a lot of folklore out there, you do see some ingrained themes concerning being the other, mental health, different types of states. So we want to ensure that we are doing this appropriately. This list is what we're starting with, because I love the idea of having some of that supernatural, having some of the eerie in there, and the idea of this group of young teens also being inspired by things like X-Files is super, super cool to me. I grew up watching X-Files with my mom, and I'm definitely getting those vibes. But we want to make sure that we are doing this appropriately. So what you see is always, as always, when you're doing a work in progress, apt to change. But this is what we're starting with, and we want to ensure that we are going to be working with cultural sensitivity readers and consultants who are actually from the cultures in question. So, for example, Wendigo has a very specific Indigenous American context, but not in, generalized Native American, Indigenous, but looking at all of the different tribes and where they existed, where they lived. And still live to this day. So I'm not going to get into a big conversation right now about how the U.S. and other countries' relations are with the indigenous populations who came there first, but that is something that we do want to be very mindful of. I had to say it. So I wanted to have that kind of like serious moment there, because it's something we do take very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got any knowledge of the Inspirals and all the games that we're making, very closely connected to the deaf community in terms of consultancy. So
this is more of an assurance for the audience. I don't have to give you this speech, Rich. You're good. I wouldn't be working with you otherwise.
Exactly.
So moves.
The moves. So the basic moves, like I said, they have to tie to either investigation or sabotage. So some of them are based on other games in the Powered by the Apocalypse. I think slightly influenced by them, and some of them are completely original. So we've got Keep Your Cool. Help an Eerie, so help your fellow group member. Influence someone, sorry. So that's very broad, which they need to be. I can't read it. Sense something.
Sorry.
I thought that's quite important.
I think that one's very good. Yeah, using your sense of intuition and your powers of observation. And this also plays into, perhaps in some ways, these specific kids have been touched by the supernatural. You could play into that in different ways.
Exactly. So that's a good point. And we've got Connect the Dots. So you can't really force the the Creek guide to give you clues, but once you've got clues, I thought it'd be nice to have a move where you can connect them together.
Yeah.
And then we've got Read the Room, which is kind of like preparing, or kind of like Bring the Heat is kind of like conflict, or like aggression, or
bring in the
fighting.
heat. You're getting the jump on someone. If you're gonna bring the heat, if you're not starting something, you are ready for some action to go down, and you're gonna meet it head on. Yeah.
And then the opposite is Escape a Tight Spot.
Escape a Tight Spot. Yep.
Damn, so they're kind of the basic moves that every player can use in the group. And then next to the playbooks are special moves.
Yeah. Playbooks and
so
special
the werewolf
moves.
has got Change, which makes sense. The Jersey Devil's got Alert, because they're kind of like traditionally sort of like wailing a lot. The Mothman has got Hypnotic Eyes, so that I've put Distract. The I can't pronounce it. Chupacabra. He's in charge of the food and energy. Kraken is swimming and sailing and water stuff. Bigfoot is Hiking.
Hiking.
The Wendigo is planning,
Oy.
and Podwaji is sneaking.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of like special moves. But again, like you talked about cultural sensitivity. That's another thing we'd have to look at, because they could be wildly insensitive to those creatures.
How did you choose the list, by the way?
I researched them all.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I just looked at the most popular ones in the North America.
Okay.
There was other ones.
I'm just wondering if you chose them for certain reasons, like you've liked the stories.
No,
or...
the reason I chose them is because they're different enough, because the playbooks have to be distinctive. Yeah, they have to be distinctive, so that's the reason why. And some of them might need to be adjusted because they're too similar. So it's about slotting in ones that are very diverse in terms of like playbooks, in terms of like their skill sets.
They need to be very distinct.
In terms of their abilities. Yeah, they have to be distinct. Otherwise, yeah.
No, perfect.
Because otherwise, there's no point having separate playbooks. You may as well just have,
yeah.
Rely on its stats.
I look forward to digging into these special moves, actually, and seeing how they fit thematically with the playbook, but then how they impact like the roles, or how you go about engaging with the story and with the environment. So like for Bigfoot, for hiking. If I'm gonna be silly about it, which my brain wants to go silly right now, I'm imagining like those horribly grainy pictures of like Bigfoot sightings through the woods, through the forest, and they're just going like, yeah, heck yeah, Bigfoot's good with hiking. They'll make it up to that peak in no time.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose a kraken isn't really particularly tied to swimming, but still.
There are some other
basically.
There are some other beings and other cryptids that we could probably
look
lots
into.
Of serpents. Yeah,
There's
lots of serpents, and depending on the region as well, depending on the region they're in. So I really actually do like the idea of using different types of cryptids as the playbooks, because that could also be part of the story of the crew, that maybe they all love comic books and legends and horror stories and things. This is a group of rebellious, probably like offbeat alternative teenagers, and man, I loved this kind of stuff when I was a kid too.
Yeah, I did. So that's one option. Like I haven't fully settled. The moves they're nearly there. The moves are nearly there.
Well, let's talk about the moves.
The playbooks, I don't know. Still, like I said, there's been 3 iterations since we spoke last week. So I'm not fully sold on it. Like I don't know.
I think you're going in the right direction with them.
But we could easily do some sort of club, not necessarily scouts, but a club named after animals. Because visually, what I want is I want the playbooks to be illustrations of the teens, and then behind them, their shadow or the silhouette is either the animal aspect that they kind of like associate with, or the cryptid. That's kind of visually what I think that would be amazing. Like visually,
it's a fantastic visual. Oh my god, the artwork for that will be amazing.
Oh yeah, incredible.
Really good. Well, we have options though, right? We can go with cryptids that people already know and love. And I really enjoy the process of researching the different stories and then, if need be, subverting them. So you remember like Uncaged, the big Uncaged project. Which was one of my first like big collaborative things that I'd ever done in the early days. It was a lot of fun. But the whole point of that was taking different representations in mythology that were inherently kind of messed up and insensitive and incorrect. But you take them and you can subvert them. You can twist them and have a retelling. So one of the classic examples that has actually gotten a lot of attention in recent years is the story of Medusa.
Mm-hmm.
Medusa was not some evil villainess.
No.
Medusa was not, you have the stories of the Gorgons and everything. Medusa was cursed or blessed, depending on your interpretation, as a result of a great injustice that was done to them. So finding the seeds, I call them the seeds of truth in stories, and finding those elements that you can use and pull from. I think it's absolutely possible to take stories, whether or not they do have some different elements of concern, but you can still derive the spirit of them and use that to tell a similar story, but in a new way. So I don't think we're necessarily barred from these things, as long as we are creative and we have fun with it. Yeah.
But the second iteration does now make me think, possibly interests me more.
Really?
The second iteration was all the scouting animals. So like there's Bagheera, Baloo, Kayla, I can't remember all the names of them, Car obviously. And they were very distinct. They all, like, obviously Baloo was like protection and like a kind of a leading, Car for like charm and things like that. And there was like there was a kite called, I can't remember the name of the kite, but like a bird, which could be like tactics and planning. And so they were very good. But also the special moves could be tied to scouting badges.
They could be, and
I
always love the
cool.
idea of badges, like wilderness explorer, scouting,
like camping, like sailing, like like building things, fixing things. One of them was fix things, because that could be so. I'm thinking now, talking about stuff.
But you could still have it supernatural in some way. You absolutely
100%.
could.
Of course you can.
So you could have those different things, and if you wanted to go with more animal symbology, we could easily pick some very good symbols out of different species that are commonly found in different parts of North America. If you still wanted to have that kind of feel to it, we could easily do that. All sorts of different things, and even creatures like animals that people like, a jackalope. When you want to talk about like a cryptid that people would say existed, but we don't know if they really existed because they probably didn't, or maybe they do. You could go with stuff like that. Or there are different stories about like two-headed snakes being an omen of different things. Yeah. So you could still have that same feel. I think there are ways where you could combine like what you're looking for from both of those iterations into something that'll be very special.
We 100% will bring that into the Creek Guide section. So it'll be about how I suppose in a lot of TTRPGs you have different ways of expressing a story.
Yeah.
So like you can have leanings, I guess you can call it, like thematic leanings. So like you can lean more into supernatural, lean more into the sort of like sabotage, the practical side of stuff. Yep. Like even like like a Metal Gear Solid type thing, or like a Splinter Cell type thing, where you're like it's more espionage.
Depending on the choices that the players make, you could go
exactly,
which is very classic RPG.
Sherlock Holmes leaning, like it was very very about investigation. So we'd have a section in the game in the second half, basically, which would be about different themes.
Yep. Sorry to wave my hands, but I just got really excited about something that Almost Bedtime put in the chat. What if the playbooks were primarily mundane, so like Scout, Jock, Science Kid, etc.? And we had talked about that a little bit before. Remember that list I sent you? So we considered it.
These things,
But once they make contact with their cryptid, they get a bonus group-specific move based on the cryptid. So that's something really else we had considered as well in the initial kind of creative planning session.
Group moves.
So we had the thought, because you mentioned, Rich, that they needed to find cryptids in order to save and protect the creek and save and protect their home. And because I got really hung up on this cryptid Pokemon card kind of thing, I had it in my head, and we talked about it a little bit of, well, what if each of the kids ends up being able to like bond or befriend a specific kind of cryptid, and then that would be like your buddy. Not that it would be like a Pokemon kind of thing, but yeah, something kind of like that. When you make contact with a cryptid and you make a deal. When you make a deal or a pact.
Exactly.
With a cryptid.
Exactly.
then you gain something from them. So whether that's a group thing or whether that's down to like every player gets like a cryptid bond, and more than one could maybe bond with the same cryptid, that's fine. So you don't have to like pick and choose and get competitive over it. That's a fun idea.
There's a lot of things. I think we go back to the Scouts troop.
Okay.
Have the animal aspects. They don't have to be named after the Jungle Book characters. They could just be animal aspects. And we have badges for the special moves. Because the Jungle Book, because there's a reason why the Jungle Book has got such diverse character archetypes, because it is very, very archetypal as a book.
Very archetypal.
So they slot very well into very, very diverse playbooks. So that was the appeal of it, and the moves would come very naturally from that. Like I had the kite, like I said, like planning stuff, like over the overview of the battlefield, so to speak.
Yeah.
Or the investigation. I had Baloo being like, the tough kind of protector.
Yeah. And those different archetypes are absolutely derived from animal folklore, and the animal totems and symbology. Their Jungle Book wasn't the first to do that, but it did it well. So yeah, I think that's very, very easily done, and I think it would still be very powerful to do something.
Yeah, and then we have, like you said, like Almost Bedtime's talking about, and you're talking about, we have some sort of the link with the discovery of either the clues or the cryptid itself informs a group dynamic, or like some sort of special move, like a group move.
So you've got special moves, special scout moves, but then you could unlock over time special cryptid moves.
Troop moves, or cryptid
moves.
Yeah, write that down.
Take this down. So we're gonna say.
So I'll see if I can find the X document.
Scout moves and cryptid moves.
File.
But these will be special moves. So I'm actually gonna put them down here.
Do you know what? I think I replaced it. It's so annoying. It wouldn't take me long to find it though, actually.
You're good.
And to write it all down again. I'll send you a new document over tomorrow.
New.
A new one with the changes.
Yep, I can send this back to you as well, and I'll just
and
put,
also, yeah.
I'll put our notes from tonight in like a different color font or something.
Yeah, nice one.
We'll go with green.
And also, we can have an aspect. If it's a scouting trip, we can also have an aspect of the player group naming it as well, and even designing the kind of like logo for it.
Yes.
As opposed to
that should be a thing.
Pre-written thing.
Absolutely. So let me write that down.
They'll come up with the creek and the group. Yeah.
Naming the group and designing like a flag. Like a little flag, like for your fort, for your hideout. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And also, at Almost Bedtime, what I'm thinking now is because I talked about that critical hit earning kind of unlocking either tokens or something in terms of bonds, then you can spend those tokens on a group move, on a cryptid move. So in other words, most moves don't cost anything, like the basic moves, for instance, but a cryptid move, which is essentially like a limit breaker in Final Fantasy or something, would be like
with a plot twist in Bard RPG.
Like instantly destroy a JCB or instantly change someone's mind about something.
I'll just say it right now. If you want to use plot points and plot twists from Bard RPG, you can. I hear it. I hear it. Just take it. It's fine. You can have it.
Nice. So yeah, I think it's all coming together now. I knew when we talked together and we got the chat going that we come up with.
We get the best chat for these streams. Y'all are the best chat. We love you guys. Sure. So okay, do you want to keep working on moves? Do you want to come up with some ideas for playbooks? Let's look at stats. Yeah. So we've got heart, body, brains, tongue, and senses.
So I've changed that now. So it's going to be heart.
Yep.
Muscle.
Yep.
Mind.
Nice.
Voice.
Nice. I like that better.
And senses.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it sounds better. I think it's again these aren't concrete. These are just kind of do you know what as well, the scout troop would be amazing visually for the playbooks, for it seals up like with their little toggles on and things.
Yeah.
You know,
that'd be really cool.
So cool.
We'll probably we'll talk about the naming of it too, because scouts like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts of America have
they're mixed.
Thing.
They're mixed now, aren't they? They're mixed now, though.
In some cases, yes.
Not all, no.
Not all cases, not across the board, but more like if you're looking at American audiences as well. So here's another bit of like my cultural cultural analysis hat on, right? So not necessarily always dealing with like different ethnicities and cultural stories in that sense, but just like societal culture. So if I'm looking at Americans, right, reading this, when you hear scout troop, you're definitely going to want to connect that subconsciously or consciously to, oh yeah, Boy Scouts, yeah, Girl Scouts. Yeah, Almost Bedtime says, as someone who grew up in Boy Scouts in the US in the 90s, I can offer some views if you want. That kind of stuff would be fantastic.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean,
we don't have to not call them scouts, but that's just something we want to be aware of.
For sure. I mean, we could have our own name for it. We can have our own name. It's
call them like the Adventurers, or maybe they call themselves the Cryptids. maybe they're part of like a scouting group, right? Like a youth adventure camp sort of thing. But I had this, just as we're talking about it, maybe one of their teachers just got so frustrated with them one day and just started calling them cryptids. Because every time that they like do something like rebellious and they're about to get in trouble, suddenly they just disappear.
Nice.
Little goblins.
Yeah.
There are things we can work with there.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be called, they don't have to be called scouts, but it's just
For now, we'll call them scouts. That is the working title.
Yeah, we'll keep it like that for now.
It doesn't change what they are.
No, not really.
No. So I like the stats you've got here. They are very intuitive. They'll be very easy for people to follow along and pick up. Yeah, you don't want to overcomplicate the stats.
No. They're quite universal as well.
They are.
They cover, you know, heart's meant to be around you know, like emotional stuff and kind of like leadership and like inspiration. Muscles, obviously, all physical stuff. Mind's like mental stuff. Voices like personality.
Yep.
And then senses is like not just like you know, the five senses, but also like the supernatural.
Your intuition.
As well. The supernatural element can come into that as well. So if you test anything to do with the cryptids, it could be tested under senses. Yeah,
absolutely. No, I like that. And in the book, we'd be able to break all of those down and give little blurbs, and that'll be fine. But I like that you've already associated the different like basic moves to them. That's good.
Yep.
Yes.
And then we've got running the game. So the second half of the book, or the last third, will be the Creek guide bit.
Yep.
Which is going to be the GM essentially. The guide moves. So when you roll a 6 or under. The GM, the Creek guide, gets to make a move themselves, which will be very interesting for the plot. So they could say like, oh, the construction company have like encroached upon this area of the creek, and they started digging up, you know, like the old swimming pool or something.
Yeah. You could have a clocks like element to this as well.
Yeah, you could have
where you have construction timelines and you have things moving.
And
that'll be something that'll be good.
Because that will create natural tension, which will be really good, which I've got next. So progressing the story and tension.
Yep. Because you need
progressing
that
the story. Yes, exactly. And then downtime, interactivity. So that will be about like I said, about the stickers and the playing cards and the trading cards and all sorts of things like that. How we're interacting with the players.
Yeah.
Structure of play, and then a sample session.
Perfect.
And then we've got settings. So we've got example creeks. We've got the cryptid of the creek. We've got example cryptids. Customizing your game. This will be about what we talked about, the themes and the leanings. And then the traditional glossary, acknowledgements, index, and the play handouts.
Had an idea here.
Yeah.
For Cryptid of the Creek and example cryptids. I like the idea of having a variety of cryptids. Yeah. Of course, like the main cryptid of the creek, but then the other ones that they may stumble in on, like your field journal, right? The field journal aspect to it.
Yeah.
And then perhaps when it comes to the creek guide, determining who the main cryptid, like the quest-giving cryptid, or whatever is going to be, the big one, that could be determined by the way that the players build their characters and have some of those like intrinsic things. Because I've always liked the idea of the cryptids will show themselves and reveal themselves to certain people for reasons. Right? And you're going to meet the cryptid that you're kind of meant to meet.
In the end, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you're going to fail.
Or
which is going to be part of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's a really good idea. I haven't heard of Simple World. I'm interested now.
I haven't. We're writing it down. Let's look at. I'm going to put like a little reference.
I know that Vincent Baker currently is writing a SRD for Powered by Apocalypse game design, which is pretty amazing as well. It's pretty amazing timing. He literally
deliberate
messaged me on
timing.
Twitter. It's brilliant timing. So it means that he'll have a document that we can refer to with all the tips. But yeah, the simple world. I'll have to look that up. Yeah. Buried without ceremony. Okay, cool, perfect. Thank you for that. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
I shall
a random W
take a good look at that when building these.
I'm gonna read that over the weekend. Actually, I'm gonna be, as I mentioned earlier, we're gonna be sitting in a tattoo studio for like hours tomorrow. So I'm gonna bring some reading material with me.
Yeah.
So exciting.
That wraps up stuff for today. I think we're.
This is looking good.
Feeling pretty good about it, really. Yeah. Like.
I think we can still keep working. I like the basic moves. I think those will be good. I think we could probably work on the playbooks and like do a deep dive.
Yeah, I think
possibly.
We need to
I think that'll be a good thing
dive.
To do next week because that will help to guide a lot of the other aspects of the game design. So I think between now and next week, we're gonna take a look at the Simple World and do some research into animal symbology and scout troops and start thinking about some cryptid moves and things. But let's do like a deep dive on playbooks next week. How does that sound?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Is that good?
What I'll do between now and next Thursday, I will try and link all the mechanics together.
Yeah.
I'll try and link the moves, the stats, and the playbooks together. Even though we haven't fully decided on the playbooks and stuff, I still will tie it to the mechanics, especially the dice rolling.
Yes,
so
that's important.
We talked about today. We'll talk about critical hits and critical misses and group moves, the cryptid moves, and bring in more of the supernatural element as you go through it. That's perfect.
This is really
exciting. Josh will be happy because he doesn't have to change the cover. He can keep the fox on the boat. Because the fox could be the fox could be a cryptid.
The fox could be a cryptid, and the fox could be one of the playbooks as well.
Yes, exactly.
You can have a fox playbook. You can have a bear. You can have a crocodile. You can have snake. You can have hawk or eagle. You could have.
We don't have to go with the
things.
Jungle Book, but the only reason I linked it to it was because obviously they linked it perfectly to the scouting.
It does.
Scouting kind of platform.
Yeah.
but we'll think about it.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right.
Animals is a very safe bet.
Animal symbology is good. It's solid. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Anything else?
Nice.
Anything else to wrap up? I think that's some good progress made.
It's very good. Yeah, I'm really happy. Yeah, we're getting there.
We are.
I mean, I'm gonna be, as soon as Overalls is published and out, I'm gonna be like full on writing this whole thing
full
up.
On
basically.
cryptids. We are going
cryptid.
full cryptid. At some point, we need to do this stream with our own cryptid pacts.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. All right, I'm going to switch us back over to the duet. I have hit save on that document, and I'm going to send it back to you as well. So, yeah, that was good. I hope y'all are enjoying seeing some of the conversation and seeing how things are laid out in these early stages. And do not be afraid of design iterations. Things are going to change, and time again, and you're going to continue to tweak it and refine it, because the thing that you don't really want to do is get caught up in that paralysis of trying to make your first draft the only draft.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do not stress out about that, because the first draft is never the only draft. And if you get too caught up on making the first draft perfect, you're never going to finish it. I promise you. As someone who had a lot of failed first drafts, you won't finish it until you get past that hurdle. Be strong with it, right? And keep going, because the more iterations you have, the more wonderful it's going to be. So you're good.
Yeah, thanks for everyone's feedback tonight. It's really super helpful. I mean, these chill creation streams are extraordinary in terms of like collaborative creativity.
They're so refreshing. Anytime I feel like I'm hitting a creative block, or like my mind's not really in the right place, a chill creation stream just brings it right back. It really does. All right.
That's so good.
Any final announcements that you'd like to make? Anything to share before we close up for the night?
No, but we just decided this is going to be a trilogy.
It's a trilogy now. Yes. Let's keep that. Let's keep that scope.
Keep that under wraps.
Under wraps. It's a secret, y'all. But you heard it here first. All right. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the stream as much as we did. We will be back again next Thursday for part 3 of Cryptid Creek Creation.
Yeah.
We'll come up with a clever title for this video series, and they will be on the YouTube channel.
And next week we'll have links to the Kickstarter pre-launch page as well.
Yes.
That people can follow. So I'll get Scriv to post that next week. Easily done. Thank you so much again, everyone. Thank you, Rich. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Have a wonderful evening. So we'll see you again. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with us today. Keep adventuring, keep scribbling, and stay cryptid classy. Does that work? Yeah, sure it works.
Yeah.
Have fun, folks. Bye.
Bye.